Hey, happy Wednesday, you guys. There's an airplane going over. Yikes, I just noticed that. I'm sitting outside again. One of the things I love to do in the summer, adjusting, is take a swim with my boys in the morning. And so I'm outside and there's an airplane going on. So while I'm sitting here, wow, it's really loud. I hope you guys can hear me. We have a very small airport near us. And so when there are airplanes, it's like small planes that are kind of loud and flying low. And so this guy is searching the skies for something, but he can't see me because I'm under the trees. Okay, I'm gonna wait 1 second. I was gonna show you. Ha! He is hanging around. I'm sitting out by the pool. I'm just gonna show you while we're waiting for him to go by. Where I'm sitting, this is my pool deck. I showed you guys this last week. We have this gorgeous tree that hangs over our pool, so we try to keep it trimmed and keep the leaves out. And then this right here is my husband's office, and then this is where we swim, so he can watch the kids sometimes if he's swimming. This is our pool, and this is the bridge that goes over to the kitchen. That's the door to the kitchen. Anyway, hey Tanya. Now that the plane is gone, about needing a break. Now listen, I know that we love our kids. I love my kids. I have 9 kids, hey Carrie, and I love them more than any people on earth, those kids and my husband. But I sometimes need a break, and for me, as an introvert, I'm not shy. I'm not shy, but I'm an introvert, meaning that, hey Carrie, that I refill my tank by being alone. And so sometimes I just need to get alone and refresh and refill. And I've known that about myself for a really long time. And you know, my oldest is 26, and my husband and I have been married for 30 years. Almost that entire time, I've known that the thing that refills me and refreshes me the most is having some alone time. And so we started this a long time ago, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it really, really works. And I have a blog post about it that I will post in the comments, but I just wanted to tell you because sometimes talking, more information comes out. So I take, well, especially when the kids were little, I have a night off once a week. We call it Mom's Night Off. It was usually for us, it was Thursday, although some years things changed. There would be a meeting we had on Thursdays, we had to change it or something. But basically the day that I chose was Thursday. So Thursday was my night off. And y'all, I needed that. I needed it to refresh. Sometimes on Tuesdays when I was barely hanging on, I could think I'm gonna put my hands up here because I'm talking with my hands. I could think, but I have Thursday. I have Thursday and I can make it to Thursday night. But there are some things that I want you to know about that. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to start taking Thursday night off, and then you just do. You have to do some planning and preparation, and you have to kind of get your husband pumped up for it because he's the one giving you the night off, right? So my husband was on board with the idea, but there were some things that I really needed to do to make it worth it to him because he was tired. Like, he works really hard. He works all day long, and for him to come home and be totally in charge of the kids for an evening a week, and we're talking once a week. Don't skip it. Don't think, oh, I'm okay, because what starts to happen is your tank gets filled, and then after you do it every week for a while, you get where you kind of stay at this nearly full level, and it's amazing. It helps everything. And so don't think to yourself, I'm not going to do it this week. Once you decide to do it, try to do it every week. Okay, so here's what I want to tell you about it. So the ways that you make it work, there were several things that we did. Number one was we agreed on a night, right? And so that was, for us, it was Thursday. Thursday night, my husband works, he's a CPA, and at the time we started this, my kids were little. So when I had baby number, I'm going to say 7, my oldest child was 12. Okay, so I had a lot of little kids and babies, and I needed a break from that, and sometimes just to get alone and get away. And he understood that that really helped me. So he was on board with helping me. But in order to make that, so on Thursdays, he was committed, no matter how, even if it was in tax season, that he would leave work at 5 o'clock on Thursdays. Now there might be other days he wouldn't leave till 8 or 9 if it was a really busy season, but on Thursdays he would leave at 5. So he would be home by 5:45, 6 o'clock, and I'm telling you, he hit the door and I was out, like waiting in the driveway. I'll see you later, alligator. And so, but he was happy to do that. But let me tell you some things that I did to make it doable. Number one, I taught our children to obey their daddy. So they needed to mind their daddy. So it wasn't hard for him. He didn't get home and be like, oh, these kids, now they were babies and they were 1-year-olds and they were little and they weren't perfect. But he knew that they were taught by me and by him to do what he said and do what their parents say. And so that helped make it easier. They weren't just running wild. That was number one. Number two, I would have some sort of, now this pertains to me. My husband is not a cook. I have some friends whose husbands just pull whatever out of the fridge and throw something together. Okay, y'all, I can't even do that. And for sure, my husband can't do that. No disrespect, but he doesn't even really make a sandwich. So I had to be the one to make sure that that wasn't something he was dreading, trying to figure out what to eat. So I would have dinner all ready, either in the oven as a casserole or their little plates made or whatever. If I absolutely couldn't do that, let's say I had a newborn and I just couldn't pull my act together, then I would let him know in advance, and if he wanted to, he could stop and get Happy Meals or whatever. I mean, it's really not about what they eat on Thursday night. It's just about that they don't go to bed hungry. The rest of the week, feed them healthy all you want. The third thing that I would say, I made a little list for y'all, and now I'm trying to remember, is to, what was it? Oh, I was going to say to get them good and tired. So on Thursdays, I would run around outside with the kids, play in the water, get them bathed, like give them a bath around 4, because baths really tire, they make you tired and sleepy. And so whatever I could do to make sure they were super tired for my husband, so that they would kind of conk out for him at an early hour. So that was also really helpful. I'm not trying to take away his job. He's still doing his job. He's still doing all the work. He's an amazing guy. But I wanted to make it where it was pretty easy for him, and he was happy to do it because he'd worked really hard all day. Another thing I want to I wanted to give you tips on if you have a new baby. So there were many years in there I had a newborn, right? And so these were my two options if I had a baby that I was nursing. I could either, one, take the baby with me, then I didn't have to worry about it, so I could feed it while I was out, or two, I could stay home. So that what we would do is I would get all of my food and all of my water, like a big jug of water, and I have a little cooler with ice in it, and whatever I was going to need, food, or maybe I would have him stop and get me food as a treat, and then I would literally lock myself back in my bedroom, and that's where I would stay. The deal was I had to stay back there, because if the kids radar went off that mom was home, it would make it harder for him. So I went back there and I stayed back there. Maybe I watched a movie, maybe I read a book, maybe I cleaned out my closet, like whatever made me happy. And then when the baby would need to eat, he would bring the baby back to me to eat, and then I would, signal him. However, some of this was before like texting and stuff, so we had odd signals rigged up that he could come back and get the baby, and so he was happy to take care of it, but of course he couldn't feed it. So I could stay home, and that was awesome, y'all. I could give myself a manicure, I could clean out some junk drawers, I could fold my clothes, like things that maybe I wasn't able to do all the time. So sometimes, even without a nursing baby, I like to stay home and just get some work done in my room. Another tip I want to give you is to make sure whatever you do is super relaxing to you. If you decide, for example, that you're going to pop over and see your friend, and this particular friend is kind of a high maintenance, sort of one of those downer people, and you always feel kind of exhausted from being around her, or drained, and you get home from your husband, and your husband doesn't see that you took this time to really refresh your spirit, he's going to be like, why did I do this, right? So you have to, for the most part, spend that time either with a friend who is super uplifting or doing something that will really refresh you. For me, that would normally have been just going out by myself, sometimes just driving around in the car. Sometimes I'd go pick up a magazine back when before Pinterest, and I would read a magazine in a restaurant somewhere. So go see a movie, or a lot of times, because I had so many little kids, I would do our grocery shopping, which I would just wander around lazily in the grocery store, and in that time of my life, that was relaxing for me. So whatever it is that you can do, you only have 3 or 4 hours, but you have it all to yourself. So what would you do with 3 or 4 hours, a little bit of time every week to yourself? Occasionally, I would, if a friend had a baby, of course, if you're having babies, then typically your friends are having babies. And that was in the year when a lot of my friends were having babies. And so sometimes I would take them a meal and do some work at their house. It's always more fun to do work and clean floors and serve a meal at someone else's house. And so occasionally I would do that, but I could go without my kids, and it was relaxing for me. Afterwards, I could just drive home slowly and not listen to Barney. This was back in the days of Barney and Teletubbies on the over the speakers, and listen to grown-up music. So I would do all those things. Hey, Amy. So I'm going to give you 2 more tips for taking a mom's night off. I hope you guys will, we're talking about that as a mom of 9 kids. I just wanted to share how I get a night off every week. The last 2 tips are, number 1, really show gratitude to your husband for doing this. He is your support, he is your strength, he is your provider, he is your protector. And certainly it's his job to take care of his own kids. I'm not saying that, nor have we ever thought anything otherwise. And he's not doing your job, but he is giving you a break every week. And so I would say to be very grateful for all that he's doing, and just make sure he's really glad about it. So one suggestion for me, Thursday night was a good night, because then on Friday I would be more relaxed, and on Friday night then I could be extremely grateful to my husband, if you get my drift. And so he was happy to do Thursday again the next week. Another tip, the last tip I want to give you, is to not be entitled about it. So even if you've agreed, if your husband just can't make it happen, then don't act like he owes you this. This is something you've agreed upon. I'm sure there are a lot of things that you've told him you would do and haven't done. It's just part of marriage. And look, my hair has done since I've been out here. Totally humid by the pool this morning. It's part of marriage, and it just is what it is. So on the rare occasion, hopefully rare, that he can't pull it off, don't act like he owes you anything. Just be grateful for what you can get and work with him on it. I want to say one more thing for those of you who don't have a husband who either is willing to do it or don't have one at all. Another idea that you can do if you really think you need this, and I believe that every mom needs this, is to trade off with a friend. So find a friend who has kids you can stand, sorry, I'm just going to say it, and trade off with them. So let's say you both pick Thursday night. Then you go to her house on Thursday night at 5 and drop your kids off and pick them up at 9. And then the next week she does it for you, and you flop back and forth. So you're going to get 2 Thursdays a month off, and 2 Thursdays a month that your kids have a friend to play with in the evening. I would recommend possibly swapping, making dinner. So whoever, maybe you bring dinner over as you go, or something like that, to make it easier on everybody. Work out whatever works for you. So there's a way to do it no matter what your situation. And so I really want to encourage you moms. I will say for me, that has been my secret to being content and feeling refreshed and finding joy in the trenches. Because like I said, there was a time when I had my 7th baby and my oldest child was 12 years old, and it was just pretty much nothing but kids. I wouldn't have had time to do anything. I barely could shower, and we were homeschooling, and it was really, really busy with kids, and I didn't mind that. It was the life that I chose. It was the life that God gave me. But also, I think it's fine that once a week I needed a break, and so I took it, and we worked that out, and I wanted to share with you those tips. And so I hope you guys can get a break too. not in a manipulative way. Maybe share this video with your husband and see what he thinks, just to open up the lines of communication about it. Don't be shy about needing some sort of break for yourself, Mama. You need a break sometimes, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think for me, God made me that way, and so I embrace it in the best that I can. So anyway, I hope you guys will talk about that and keep the conversation going. Moms need a break too. A night off for everybody, and I will see you soon.